and we'll go out and meet one extraordinary dad.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the Extraordinary Dads podcast. I'm Matthew Marichiba.
And I'm Donald Murphy.
That's right. We are ordinary dads who have an avid interest in connecting and sharing experiences with other dads about the extraordinary act of parenting.
This podcast explores the brightest highs and the darkest lows in the lives of everyday dads, revealing unsung stories of caring, resolve, love, disappointment, growth, and everything in between.
That's right, Donald. We're here to learn and celebrate practical habits that regular dads have discovered to feel more successful as a parent, while also acknowledging the challenge and shortcomings that happen along the way. This episode, we have the privilege of speaking with Max Shee. Max is a firefighter, or we heard from him, a fire killer, which is far preferred and cooler, which is also cool. Like, how can you be any cooler than a firefighter as a dad? We thought it'd be great to talk with Max about the kind of intense schedule that firefighters have to do, spending days at a time away from home, but then getting days at a time back with family, and also dealing with a kind of risk profile that most professional workers don't have to deal with. So it was a really enjoyable conversation with him. So yeah, here we are another time, and it's been rewarding to me to hear from actual listeners of the podcast talking about, like, oh, I heard this thing and it was enjoyable, or it was impactful. So that's actually really meaningful to me.
For myself personally, it's been just joyous to have these dads, and I think you'd probably say for the vast majority of dads, really take their role seriously.
Yeah, and are thoughtful, like in a way that isn't evident just on like surface, like, oh, there's another dude at the playground picking up kids.
Yeah.
There's stuff under the surface there. Yeah. So any proud, challenge, nuggets of wisdom up for you right now before we jump in?
What about you?
It's actually not it doesn't fit within the three questions, but Mayana has several friends who have just gone through their bat mitzvahs. I think it happens around birthday time for Jewish kids. I don't think there's a season, but anyway, we just happen to be in a season where there's a spate of them. And I've talked to some kids who just went through the confirmation process for Christian churches too. And I found myself at a bat mitzvah the other day, and A was just like tearing up and crying at, all the right moments in the ceremony where they're marking this rite of passage. But it just hit me like, so we have gone to church at different times, but don't have a church right now, and aren't even really looking for one. But it did hit me like, we don't have a rite of passage, ceremony or any sort of ritual. We don't have a tradition that would just offer that as like, oh, here's one of the things you do.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of contemplating that a little bit, or it got me contemplating of like, what can we do as a like family and community recognition of like, hey, you're not all the way grown up, but you are definitely stepping into yourself, and we've given you tools up to now, and from here it's up to you to do with those what you can, and we will always be there with support and love.
That's a great idea.
So we're kind of percolating on it, but it has just been on my brain recently. I'm feeling the lack of that, or I'm feeling the missing of those types of rituals in a mostly kind of agnostic lifestyle.
Well, did anything happen around this? Because I know that in your home life, the two kids have gone from sharing a bedroom to having separate bedrooms. Was there any kind of acknowledgement of that? Was there any?
We had a shaman in to sage. No, I mean that it happened. Like that is sort of a rite of passage, and we gave Mayana some autonomy and freedom, and kind of talked it up a little bit, but there was no like formal. Right. This is your right. So yeah, anyway, that's percolating. Weirdly,
I shared a bedroom with my brother all the way till I left home at 23.
Well, that's why you've never truly grown up.
Yeah, exactly.
You never had the rite of passage of your own room.
Is this something that you've been talking about with Mayana, or is this just something that you and Serena have been contemplating?
Actually, it started with Mayana. So I took Mayana to this bat mitzvah, and on the way out, in the car, I just asked her what she thought of it and how it landed with her, and we got talking about it, and I just asked her, like, would you like a ritual like this? And she said yes, which was, I was surprised that it was just so clear from her, like, yeah, I would like something like this.
I grew up in the Catholic Church, and you make your first communion at 7, and then you're confirmed at age 12, 13, I forget. But I do remember them being particular milestones in my life, and having not only a sense of belonging to the Catholic Church, which was important to me growing up.
It was.
Yeah.
So you're a 16-year-old boy, and in your heart or in your spirit, you're like, I'm Catholic, and I know that that's important to me.
Yeah. Well, you're also talking to the same guy who thought he was going to become a priest till he did discover girls at 15 or 16, and then said, "Fuck that shit." But yeah,
Sorry, priesthood.
Yeah. I would, I was the guy that I would actually go into the bathroom and lock the door and then stick a piece of white paper inside my buttoned up collar and look at myself and be like, "Oh, that looks good."
I didn't know that. You?
Yeah.
I've never heard that story.
So anyway, just bringing it back to that sense of, if you're not in a religious or spiritual community, I think that sense of coming of age, I can fully support.
I have a related confirmation or ritual story. When I was home, I ended up going to church with my dad, and the church had just gone through its confirmation season. So I run into this boy. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm confirmed here." Just saying just the sweet, innocent things that a young boy would be. And I tear into this, confirmation is an interesting thing. I don't really feel like you're and this boy just like turns his back and walks away. It was just the perfect.
It's like, where is the donut table?
Exactly. I felt so just like I weirdly felt like a church elder. This kid doesn't care at all what's in my head. It's like 90% driven by donuts and cookies. And I'm just a blathering old head.
Yeah. Teacher and Charlie Brown.
Anyway, I'm going to start using that though. Just like, just turn around slowly and walk the other direction.
Okay.
Let's get into the episode.
Yeah.
Extraordinary Dads!
Our guest today is Max Shee, and Max happens to be my neighbor and also a firefighter. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Firefighter?
Yeah.
Fireman? Firefighter?
Both
fire
words.
Professional? An incendiary professional? Yeah. I just wanted to make sure I got the actual
Anna
professional.
calls it a fire killer sometimes.
Ooh,
So-
that's better than fighter. That's like a finisher,
Right.
Finisher title.
And I will say, in typical firefighting fashion, he's a handsome man. He has brought along his firefighter calendar, so the first 10 callers call in will get their own signed copy. And I'll tell you that July is one for
Very
the
spicy.
spicy, one for the ages. So first 10 callers.
Just pay for shipping.
All right, so that aside, the reason, Max, I was thinking of you as we were, formulating podcast themes was just like the nature of your work. I think is intense with scheduling of like big burst on, where with the kid you gotta be gone for a long time, and then you get the flip side of that of time off or time on, time off.
Yeah.
As well as just the notion of much higher risk than I think most professional parents deal with. So yeah, we'd love to delve into that stuff along the way.
Uh-huh.
Do you want to give a quick intro to yourself? Who
Yeah.
are you?
Yeah. My name is Max, and I have a son named Finley. He'll be 2 in a couple months, so he's 22 months old, and we live in Santa Cruz with my wife Anna, and we have a dog named Rufio, he'll be 14 in October. He's a Shih Tzu mix, so he still looks like a puppy.
And so you've been working how long have you been a firefighter for? And then, yeah.
Yeah, so I got hired up here with Alameda County in 2020. We went long distance for about 6 months when I went through my academy up here.
That was pre-kids.
Yeah, all pre-kids. And then she found the job up here. She's a elementary school music teacher and just music teacher in general. And yeah, we relocated to Fremont. We were out there for a couple years, had Finley, and then one of my coworkers he had a son right before we had ours, moved. He was on Hanover, so like right down the street.
And so, as an EMT, is that the function that you serve?
I work as a paramedic.
Paramedic. So you're usually the first person on the scene.
Yeah, because of our staffing and our placements, if someone calls 911, we'll usually be there first, and then the corresponding ambulance company will get there. And if they need more help, we'll hop in and go with them to the hospital. But we're usually first to render care, then we give them to the ambulance.
I think I'd want a dad that's a paramedic for some reason. There's comforting, and there's a safety to.
If my kids ever choke, I'm
right
up to you, kid. Figure it out. Here's a knitting hook. See if you can get it out. So yeah, like honing in on the dad aspect of this. First off, the schedule is unique. Is that true?
Yeah, we work 2 days on or 4 days off. So it's a 48-96. So if I go in on Monday at 8 a.m., I don't leave until Wednesday, 8 a.m.
Wow.
So when I'm gone, I'm gone.
Yeah. And how do you, I guess you came into having kids knowing that was your schedule, but like, how do you work that out with Anna?
So it was for sure an adjustment, even just as a relationship, because like when you're gone, like I said, you're gone. So the pros are when you're home, you could be fully home. So it's like a 4-day weekend every single week. So it was for sure an adjustment for her and for myself, but going into this, fortunately, we get paid well enough and our benefits are good so that she could, for the most part, stay at home. And if like that wasn't the case, we'd have to have a lot more childcare, and he'd have to go into preschool a lot earlier.
I mean, it seems like you have to be in a relationship that has a support partner.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's even more on like your significant other, because when I'm gone, she's with him for 48 hours.
Yeah.
So like she's doing her own shift with him, and like most days I sleep and I rest more when I'm at work, depending on how busy it is.
Yeah. And when you get home, does she want the reverse? Like, okay, now it's your 2 days.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Usually, because it's he doesn't turn off, so like it's a lot harder at home, I would say. And talking to a lot of coworkers, it seems like that's the case, and that's like the mindset shift that like, okay, just because your spouse isn't working doesn't mean it's not hard, and just because you're a stay-at-home mom or dad doesn't mean it's not hard. And I think me better understanding that makes it easier on like our home life and our relationships. I could go home and have the mindset to like want to help and to do more, because I understand that I'm at work, but I feel like
too.
Yeah, she's at work as well.
Is she working as a teacher?
Yeah, she was full time, and then once she got pregnant, she started staying at home, and then she recently started working at the Santa Cruz Children's School.
Yeah.
As a teacher.
That's awesome that it's close by.
Yeah.
Is he with her, or does?
Yeah. So so they're hanging out, and they're awesome. They're like, yeah, bring the kids anytime, bring the dog. Like they're such a nice little school and community.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay.
So they're super flexible with everything. So she goes on Fridays just for a little stint. So it's, enough for her to kind of get back into her career, but it's not too much to where it's making childcare crazy stressful.
Cool. Yeah. It might be useful just to get a little bit of context on how things are with Finley. So you got an almost 2-year-old, has been an easy one, hard one,
It's
Big challenge, like big picture challenges. Big
It's-
picture is easy.
I would say end of the day, it's all worth it. And I think me wording it that way makes it seem like it's been tough, because it has been. And I think with him, it's like big ups and big downs. So like, you know, during the day, it's great. And when we're rested, it's great. But at night, he just doesn't like to sleep. So it's like he takes a bunch of 3 or 4 hour naps. And when he wakes up, he needs comforting. He needs to be picked up and walked around, or he needs to, you know, have a snack, or he needs to look at a certain thing. So and he's really determined. So it's really hard to just ignore him or quote unquote let him cry it out, because I feel like he won't ever. And our technique, we're trying not to do the sleep training or the, hey, figure it out. So we'll always give in, and we'll kind of be more engaged. So it's a lot harder on us, but I think long term it'll be better for him. Who knows?
Is he verbal?
Yes. And that makes it worse, because then he'll tell you exactly what he needs, or he's able to, you know, tell you no, or like, I don't want that, or so it's just trying to appease this force.
Right.
It's gosh, it's amazing how forgetful I you know, it's like we've been through that twice. Super intense. It seems like the most intense time of my life, and like, it's gone.
And that gives me hope, you know.
So what does a typical night look like then, as a kid that's seemingly short naps and then full on? So I'm imagining you're up in the middle of the night multiple times.
Yeah, I feel like it's an accomplishment if he sleeps for 5 or 6 hours in a row. And when we have those nights, we feel so great, because it's like, oh, this is what sleep is like. Typical night, we'll try to get him to sleep around like 7 or 8. And then once he's asleep, Anna will nurse him down. So we are night weaning. So he doesn't really nurse in the middle of the night anymore. And he'll usually, and we also co-sleep. So then I'll sleep next to him or in his room. We have a trundle bed, and just hope he stays asleep. But he'll usually wake up around midnight or 1. And he'll be up and he'll be crying, and like he'll want someone to pick him up and hold him, and he'll like say out because he wants to leave his room. And once we leave his room, he'll like kind of get drowsy and rest his head on your shoulder. So you have to walk around with him for a few minutes, and then eventually like slowly transfer him down and
It's
kinda,
all
like,
coming back.
I remember all of this.
yeah, it's like putting down a bomb. So that
Yeah.
do that, and then you hope for a few more hours, and
Slowly back out of the room.
yeah,
Holding your breath.
and
Stepped on a twig.
yeah.
It's awake again.
Yeah, and sometimes like halfway down, he'll wake up and go out, and like, okay, so you just got to start all over again. He'll do that at like midnight or 1, and then another time around 3 or 4, and then by then it's getting close to at 5 a.m. we let him nurse again. So then if it's close to 5, then I'll switch with mom, and then she'll try to get him down, and then once he kind of wakes up again around 5 or 6, she'll nurse him until he wakes up in the morning, maybe 7:30 or 8. So at least 2 or 3 times a night.
And this is the pattern.
Yeah.
So which lends the question for me, lends itself to the question that I have, which is, how do you take care of yourself? Because I know that as a parent for myself, when I'm being an ass of a dad, it's because either I haven't had good sleep, I haven't been eating properly, you name it. So how do you, as a dad, make sure that you're always, bringing your A game if you're having what sounds like, these very disruptive nights for you as a parent?
Yeah, I think a big part that helps is communicating. So we used to kind of just for a team setting, just if someone was up with a baby, the other person would be up. And then we're both sleep deprived and we're both miserable and tired. So now it's more of, we kind of take shifts. So then if someone's we call it battling. So if someone's battling Finley, the other one will go to the other room and sleep. So then it's the idea of, okay, one person will be super tired, but then one person will get a little sleep and be functional. And then we just switch off and just kind of understanding like, hey, no, it's fine. I got it. But then also communicating the point that if you get to a certain point where you can't handle it anymore, it's okay to hand them off, be like, hey, I need you to intervene or step in. So it's, we've had a lot of instances that have kind of led to where we are now with talking about things. And I think communication has really helped.
It's great.
What was that just a natural evolution of what was going on, or did someone or some course be like, you've got to communicate in these ways?
Yeah, I think it probably was the result of us being so sleep deprived and pissed off and annoyed and angry that we just were not enjoying life. And then we're like, okay, we got to change something.
We started talking like intelligent humans do.
Yeah. And we're like, okay, like what could we do better? And like what makes sense? And are you going to be upset if like I rest while you're, actively working to help him, vice versa? And like, okay, knowing that, oh, it is okay to take a break. And my, wife isn't going to be upset that I'm taking a break while she isn't. And like, yeah, like I said, vice versa.
Sounds like functional partnership there.
Yeah.
Wild. Although on the nights that you're away working, she's doing it single-handedly.
Yeah.
Which you got to give her a lot of credit and praise.
So every morning, I just text her, how's the night? And sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's okay. And I mean, regardless, she had to kind of go through it and go with him, and whatever he was doing, she was up with him the whole time. So sometimes I'll get a call at like 3 or 4 in the morning where she just like, hey, he's been up and I need to talk to someone.
Yeah.
So then
Good for her.
I always like leave my phone on just in case, and just try to be available. And I know she's super patient and strong, and her patience and her ability to be a good mom is so good that she's able to handle it. But I think that's why when I come home, I really try to just clean and help out and pick up whatever slack I can, because me being at work is kind of a break.
Flowers and chocolates.
Yeah. It's actually really sweet to hear.
Yeah.
That I guess I'm not gone for days on end. And mostly if I were asleep and Serena tried to interrupt just to talk, I'd be like, no, do not want to talk. But yeah, that's just interesting. Really.
Yeah. And
like you'll take a call in the middle of the night because that's part of your parenting.
Yeah. And it hasn't been perfect for sure. And like, we definitely have had our struggles, but yeah, I think these are the things that have worked. And yeah, it definitely hasn't been perfect.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, get out. Yeah. We only invite people who we thought were going to be perfect exemplars of humanity, Max.
So there's a lot in there to be proud of as I hear your story and as I hear how Finley is as a nocturnal being. But of late, real world example, is there anything that you're most proud of as a dad with respect to actions and choices you've taken? And maybe you've already answered that question. But
I'm proud of like where we are in life. I'm proud of who I met and the family we've been able to create and all of the relationships we've built. Can't take credit for like the community that we're in, but I think we've done a good job with just reaching out to people and building relationships. And as far as an interaction that I'm proud of, it actually happened this morning. We just joined a gym that does provide childcare, so you could bring your kid there and they could play in a little kid area. So I was like, okay, like Anna's at work, I'll take Finley there. And, he was okay there last time. He enjoyed it and cried when we left. So I think he likes it there. Took him in the morning, had plans, and then he did not want to be put down, really did not want to go. So I just stood out there holding him, asking like, all right, do you want to go play now? Do you want to go play? And he just kept going, nope. And I took a step back, and in my head, I was like, well, I don't really need a workout. And if he doesn't want to go there, I'm not going to force him to go just so I could, continue doing what I want to do. And I think after reflecting that, I kind of thought, okay, like that's the approach I need to take more often, is that we're now in like fatherhood and parenthood where more or less your child will drive a lot of your life. And I think the more you accept that, the easier it is when things don't go your way. So having that interaction this morning that, on paper looks like just totally derailed what I was trying to do, but I was kind of happy that it happened because I was in a better place to let it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, if you take the view of what I'm actually doing here is parenting,
Yeah,
then like you did the
exactly.
perfect right thing,
Yeah.
or you had the perfect right day. Cool. Let's hit the flip side of the proud. What's
Yeah.
in this last week? What's your least proud moment?
I've had many, and I think the most common one is just losing my patience. And I always feel like I'm very like even keel and very calm. And he'll get me so frustrated where I'll like raise my voice, or I'll kind of stomp around. And, looking back, you always are embarrassed about how you've acted and you feel bad about it. But in the moment, you just can't think of anything else to do. And
Isn't that crazy?
You're just so frustrated. And
Welcome to my life 10 times a day.
10?
like, another thing
Peanuts.
that's so great about, stuff like this is when you talk about it, you don't feel like you are a terrible person, because everyone kind of goes through this, and it's very helpful to hear that and to know that it's a common thing and you're not crazy. And, kids eventually get better. Well, you hope. But yeah, I think just one of the nights I was up with him from 11 to 2, just trying, whatever I could, and, really trying to keep him away from our room so his mom could sleep. And I think we went upstairs, downstairs to try to feed him stuff. I try to show him things, like try to distract him in any way. And I think I eventually took him into the car and we drove around and he fell asleep. But like during that battle, I for sure lost my temper and like I said, stomped around and probably wasn't sounding super comforting and nice. And, that doesn't
Go the fuck
help.
to sleep.
Yeah, and just like kind of almost begging him, like, Finley, please go to sleep. Please go to sleep. And just,
Yeah. Well, I had a similar moment. So my son Dylan is now 10, but similar in the year and a half. I do remember one night he wouldn't go to sleep. I was tired, and I was like, okay, because I knew when he took naps during the day, the best chance I had of getting him down for a nap was to take him in the car. So in this night, I was like, okay, I'm going to put him in the car because I know that's going to put him to sleep.
I don't think
And-
that's too uncommon, actually.
Yeah.
I've heard of other people like, oh, go for the drive.
Yeah, but I think my least proud moment during that period of his life was putting him in the car, strapping him in the car seat, take off, driving around the roads of West Santa Cruz, and he's just like jabbering in the back. And at one point, I just like turned around and I'm like, "Shut the fuck up!" And he's just like, "Okay, there's something going on here." So we've all been there.
yeah.
We've all been there.
I thought we were having a nice drive. Dad is bugging up there.
It's like, oh, you're not enjoying this night drive?
What's an actionable habit that's working for you right now? Like, what have you just solved that you're like, oh, this is how I do it?
I think and it doesn't work every time, so it's not like fail proof, but I think it's just taking a step back and, and my wife and I will talk about like, oh, like, come on, Finley, what are you, just one? Or like, what are you, not even 2 years old and you don't understand that? Just to remind ourselves, oh, right, he's not a fully functioning adult. We can't reason with him for most things. So like, let's just let him make a mess, or let's let him disobey, or let's let him do what he needs to do that is going to be frustrating, or it's not going to be helpful, or it's counterintuitive, but just let him be a baby. And I think the more I could tell myself that, the easier it is going to be to just be cool with it. And yeah, it doesn't work every time, but it has definitely helped.
It's like an internal mental shift.
Yeah, just like, hey, just let him be a baby. Just let him be a baby. Yeah.
Shifting to your own dad and your own upbringing, is there one example of love and connection with your dad that when you were growing up stands out?
Yeah, I really enjoyed thinking about this because my dad isn't super emotional, and he's not great with kids. Like, he played with us when, like, my friends would come over, he would wrestle with us, but I feel like my dad is his greatest joys in life is probably seeing us successful, and also he really enjoys his work, and it's not so much like being a very emotional dad. And in that sense, one thing I did appreciate from him is whenever we would have our conversations, it always just seemed like it was peer to peer, or like we had a professional relationship. Because whenever, as like long as I can remember, any advice or lessons or things he wanted to explain to me was like he was talking to an adult. And I think it made me feel respected. And looking back, I think he just really prioritized making us successful. So for him, it was like, okay, I need to teach you lessons, and I need to give you skills that will make sure that you can survive in this world and, navigate it. And I don't really care too much about, like feelings as much. I'm not going to handle that. And I think that's not his personality. So I think for the like love connection thing, I think he's very proud of like what my sister and I have accomplished, but he doesn't really say it too much, and we don't talk very often, and he's also overseas, so that doesn't help. So I think one thing I did appreciate was just his professional relationship with
So it wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't like, Dad's talking at me like I'm a grown-up, but I'm actually in seventh grade or whatever.
No, I think to me, it was natural. I didn't know anything different, obviously. And one way that is kind of made my experience as a father more difficult is now I'm treating Finley like he's an adult, because that's how my dad spoke to me, with just, hey, why don't you understand this? So, reminding myself, oh, he's not an adult human being.
Yeah.
Like, we could, it's good to explain things to him, but he's not going to understand everything.
Yeah. I feel like I forget that. Or just the notion of like, when I think about my childhood, it's all like after my memory started. So like there's a whole chunk of time that I have no clue of how my parents really interacted with me. And, and yeah, like you can't take those grown kid habits and direct them at a toddler. In all of that, in thinking back on it, was there a moment that you remembered of like, oh, this is actually my dad loving me?
Yeah, I think he would. So yeah, he showed it in different ways. And I played a lot of baseball and soccer growing up, and I played travel ball, and he was a very avid golfer. He would golf with his friends every Sunday, sometimes Saturday and Sunday. And he gave up golfing to take me to travel ball. And I remember asking him, like, Dad, don't you miss golf? Like, don't you want to play golf with your friends? And he's like, no, I'd rather watch you play baseball. So I think that was his way. And, without saying like, I love you, or like, this is what I love about our relationship, it was just, no, I love watching you play, and I would rather do that than, the other things I used to enjoy in life. So
that's really sweet.
Yeah.
Do you think that has influenced you, whether it be consciously or unconsciously, when we go back to you standing outside of the gym and Finley's doesn't want to go in, and you're like, okay, well, this isn't about my workout, this is about him. Similar. It seems like there's an echoing of what you just described with your dad.
Yeah.
What you experienced just this morning, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And for both of my parents, they were always kids first. So whenever we needed something, they would try to do that and provide that for us. So any extracurriculars or any like AP tests I'd have to pay for, or any summer camps or anything, was always, yeah, go and you have our support. And whenever we were interested in something, they would facilitate it. And we weren't super wealthy, but we weren't like struggling. But for sure, it wasn't easy for them to let us do all the things we wanted to do, but they made it work. And I think without ever telling us or being so obvious about it, I think they definitely put us first for a lot of things that, now that I'm reflecting about it. Yeah.
Like stability as love. And,
yeah, exactly.
And
like
priority
they just
as
showed
love.
it in different ways. And like my mom was for sure more emotional and like connected with me more like that. So I feel like I am closer to her in that sense. And yeah, my dad just showed it by, hey, I'm going to show you I love you by setting you up to like make it and to kind of like give you whatever you need to go through with life.
Yeah.
What did your dad do for work?
He's an architect. So, and this might have kind of made that relationship less intimate or like less close, because he was always going overseas when I was young. So my mom kind of raised my sister and I by herself from when we were probably 0 to like 7, because he was back and forth going to Taiwan for like long stints, often enough to where I thought LAX was Taiwan. We would always pick him up and we'd be in the car and they're like, oh, your dad's
coming back from Taiwan.
Yeah, your dad's coming back from Taiwan. And I was like, oh, it was a long car ride. I was like, oh, we're in Taiwan. Cool.
Oh, very sweet.
I love that. Kid logic. What sort of policies or home, like, can you think of things that your parents did that worked so well that you're like, oh, we're doing that one?
Yeah. And I think some are specific. My mom, in a general sense, was just, as long as you're happy, go do it. So she was always super supportive with whatever I wanted to study or any career paths or like things I wanted to do. She was always very supportive. So I never felt pressure from her to kind of, study a specific thing or to, go in any certain direction. And then my dad, he always told me, don't waste your talent. Don't waste your talent. And I was a pretty good baseball player. And so when we played travel ball, he would like always encourage me to play. And sometimes I didn't want to play because I don't like a lot of pressure. So it wasn't fun sometimes. And he'd have to drag me out. And he's like, hey, I wouldn't be doing this if you weren't good. I don't want you to waste your talent. I want, like, you're good at this. We're going to keep doing this. And like, might not have been the best approach, but I am thankful for it now because like it put me in a lot of high pressure situations and it made me uncomfortable sometimes. And I remember he specifically put me on a travel team because he knew that the coach was really hard on its players. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I don't doubt your like physical ability. I know you're good, but he's like, you have your mentality has to get stronger. Because like I'm not a very like alpha aggressive person. I'm pretty passive. So he kind of noticed that. And that's another thing of like his grand scheme of like, I just want to like set you up to be successful. He noticed that flaw and he's like, I want you to develop that. So I don't care if you don't play. I don't care about anything other than I want this coach to put pressure on you so you could develop like mentally, mental toughness really. And
I think my takeaway quote for this episode is don't waste your talent.
Don't waste your talent. Yeah.
That's a great like just nugget of worldview.
Yeah. And
so you're thinking these aspects of mom, find what you want, figure out what you love yourself, and your dad sort of focused practical approach is what you want to bring into.
I think so. Cause with Finley, I can't wait to like play catch with him and to be able to throw the ball like very hard at him and for him to catch it and throw it back, and like that'd be a dream. But if he's not into baseball, like taking it from my mom's side, then I'm not gonna force him, and like we'll definitely facilitate stuff so that he could see if he's interested, but you can't force him to do stuff. But like if he's really good at something,
But if you wanted to play baseball,
if he's
son,
talented and he has his talent, like I am going to try to explain that to him, to be like, hey, it's, not everyone is lucky enough to have this ability. So like let's see how far it could go, or like let's try to get you over these little humps to where you can enjoy it, or like looking back you'll be appreciative of these situations and like playing or doing whatever it is.
Given the fact that you and Anna are both from Southern California, you said that your dad still, I think, spends a lot of time overseas.
Yeah.
Does Finley have a relationship with his two grandfathers?
Unfortunately, he hasn't met my dad, and my dad hasn't met Anna. It just seems like we're acquaintances now, and it has bummed me out. And I've like talked to my sister about this, and I've kind of had to reflect on this because I wish he was more involved, because like if I was in his shoes, I would want to see my grown son as an adult and his family. But I think, again, everyone has different life goals and things they cherish and things that they want to do. So I feel like I'd like to say and we talked about this, he is happy that he doesn't have to worry about me. And I think for him, he's been successful and his life is fulfilled, which for him, that's great. But I wish he was more involved, and he's tried to come back, but he's also been busy because his mom is sick, my grandma. So I understand that it's not ideal for him, but yeah, I wish he was more involved. So Finley's never met my dad, and then Anna's dad's in Southern California, and he's been dealing with some stuff. So yeah, grandfathers aren't very involved, and then if we're going into the grandma side a little.
Oh, we're not, because this is this is our dad's podcast. That's right. Maybe you didn't read the title of the show. No, sorry. Talk about the grandmas. By all means, talk about the grandma.
Anna's
Maybe
mom's,
we should have a side project, Extraordinary Grandmothers,
Ooh, that might be the hit.
which there are
there are many.
millions of them.
They are all
Let
all of
me
the
get-
grandmothers.
Yeah, let me
Before we get our
just go on
asses
record.
kicked by someone's mom.
Yeah, let me go on record and saying that I'm not poo-pooing. There are billions of extraordinary grandmas.
Billions. Yeah, Anna's mom's she's in Southern California, so she's visited, and then my mom is actually in Sweden. My parents divorced and she remarried and relocated, so she's in Sweden. She came out and helped out for about a month when Finley was really young. So she's planning on coming back to visit. So in that sense, we were kind of on our own up here, which made it even more difficult.
Yeah.
Kind of being a new parent and not having a little community, and like, they say it takes
I think
a
we're
village,
all in
and
that.
that's true.
In
Yeah.
that boat. We don't have local family. It is actually of the regrets of my life, not and again, it's, I don't toil and lose sleep over it, but like, yeah, not having a more intimate, daily or routine contact with my parents is sad to me.
Yes, yeah, similar.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in Ireland, and I grew up in a family of 6 kids, 5 siblings still live in Ireland. Families, they're all still tight-knit. From afar, saw nieces and nephews grow up in a tight-knit family. So
Yeah. Sounds so great.
yeah, there is. When I
I wonder if they're like, oh God, if I could just have my family alone in a different country.
Grass is always green.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I ran kicking and screaming from Ireland and thinking, that God-forsaken place, I can't get away from it fast enough. But with the passage of time, the recognition that having family close and tight-knit community, there's a lot to be said for that. So
Yeah.
it's something that I pine for.
Yeah.
I'm noticing the time. We're in the home stretch. We got off the thread of the firefighting aspect. I do want to ask about that notion of risk. And I'm gathering that, so as an EMT, you're not like the guy charging through the flaming window.
Oh no, I work as a firefighter paramedic. So
It's both.
yeah. So if there's a fire, we go to the fires. If there's like a medical call, we go to the medical. So we handle all hazards, and basically whatever call goes out, that's what we do.
Got it. How is that then? As you know, I imagine you're not with every rung of the ladder being like thinking of Finley, but like how you have a different risk profile.
Yeah, it's definitely something you think about, and it is apparent when you like see the line of duty deaths, and it's always like hopefully that never happens to me or a close friend, but the reality is it could happen with like freak accidents or something that you can't prevent. And then a big one is cancer. So I think just making the time matter now and trying to really prioritize when I'm home, and not sacrificing everything for the job, in the sense of picking up a bunch of overtime, or whenever like the department will need people to do certain things, is just really balancing, like, okay, I want to be a good member of the department to go like help out and do other things, but then I also want to prioritize my family life, because like you never know what will happen. So that's always kind of in the back of your mind. And fortunately with our gear, like we're a lot safer now, and everything is built better and with more like attention to fire safety. So we don't go on as many fires, but the stuff that does burn is a lot dirtier. So I think the big concern now is the cancer aspect of it. So it's just kind of being in tune with your checkups and knowing what to look for, and just kind of hoping that you are lucky, really. But I know a lot of people that have, retired and they live really long lives. And so you just kind of hope for the best and go with the pros of, this job does really let you have a nice home life when the schedule works out.
Are you doing like daily FaceTime checkups?
Yeah, we'll FaceTime, and it's funny, like he likes to see the fire engine, and he likes to see what I'm doing. I'm usually cooking or like cleaning, or I don't know, just walking around. Or like sometimes we'll be on a call and I'll like be in the back, like, hey, like I gotta go.
You know that you've already sort of won, because he's going to be the coolest kid.
Yeah.
You know what my dad can drive? A fire engine. So suck it.
Really a cool perk to
Walk
have.
away. I'm already the coolest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. So I think he's showing interest, and he like can identify when he hears the sirens, and like he calls it a Dada Car.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
A fire engine is a Dada Car.
Dada Car.
Oh my God, that is the best.
He also must be pretty well fed at home, because I will tell you, I have some friends that are firefighters, and some of the best meals I've had are in the firehouse.
Yeah,
You guys know how to cook.
you have to learn how to cook.
And so, yeah. So anytime you want to invite Matthew and I to the firehouse, we are ready for a good feed.
I'll jump in my own Dada Car and woo, all the way up to 17. So yeah, I don't want to miss out on just the notion of like anything that seems totally invisible, unseen, but really important to you. Do you have any aspect of that, of like your inner private dad that doesn't get seen?
I think a couple things that I've experienced going through fatherhood, I think this kind of highlights it, is how important it is to check in on the dads of how they're doing. Because you hear about like postpartum depression and like all the resources to give the moms, that's well deserved. Like they need more, if anything. But I think, and even my wife, we've talked about this, like whenever we went in for a checkup, they'd always check in on mom, but then dad's just there. And she's like, do they ever ask you how you're doing? I was like, no, they don't. She's like, yeah, I feel like they should, because we do go through our own whole process of trying to bond with this baby, and it does change your life in a good and a bad way. And I think, yeah, you kind of do feel invisible sometimes, or where you don't really matter, especially because like no one's checking in on you. There's not really resources, and then it's not that common or like cool to talk about these things. So
we're
then
conditioned in a
yeah,
probably not healthy way.
yeah, and I don't think it helps. So I think whenever I talk to parents or new parents I always make it a point to tell them like, hey, it is going to be the best thing you've ever done, and it's going to be awesome, and you're going to love this kid, and it's going to be great. But like, it's okay to hate it sometimes. It's okay to feel depressed and frustrated and angry. And I remember I had a moment where I was sitting on the couch and Anna goes, hey, are you okay? And I go, no, I'm not. Like, I don't like this. This isn't fun. What's wrong with me? And only until after talking to like some close friends that I've also gone through it, they're like, oh yeah, like that happened to me too. But you just don't really share that. And
you're not posting about that on the Mama Circle Facebook page.
Exactly. And I think knowing that also
were you,
happens.
I'm just curious, were you in that moment, were you feeling ashamed? I mean, in addition to not feeling okay, where you're like, I'm not okay, and I'm ashamed of not feeling okay.
I thought something was wrong. I was like, what am I doing that's wrong? Because like everyone else is saying, you're supposed to be having a blast, and I'm not having a blast. Like, this is miserable. And like it is so different as a dad. And going into like, I guess part 2 of that question is, this just happened today, and it happens many times. I try to comfort him at night, and all he wants is mom. Even when he woke up from the nap, he's mama, mama, mama. And like, so I'm like, well, I'm here too. I could hold you. I could give you some stuff, of course, nothing beats the boob, so like that bond.
I'm with you there.
Amen.
That bond, like you can't compete with that. But then that's something I feel like
it wears on you a little bit.
Yeah. Cause then you just you're like, well, I'm here and I'm not wanted. So it's harder to bond with the child because they just want to be with mom. And then it's like a double-edged sword because, I get more breaks, but then like mom doesn't get breaks. So then mom gets worn out more and I can't pick up that slack because I can't breastfeed.
Yeah, right.
Like if I could, I would. I'd at least give it a try, and kind of share that load, but you can't. And I think a big part of it is just being the unwanted parent that's not that like a parent,
And there's like a funny, to that one, like you kind of got to suck it up. Like you're not going to be mom and you're just going to have to I mean, you should deal with it how you deal with it. But it seems like you kind of just got to hold tough.
Yeah.
In some moments of like, I'm not,
I'm
not the best, but I'm me. I got all the gifts I got, and it's and foremost, it's what you're gonna get right now. But like, so sorry, where I was going with that is like sometimes you got to suck that up, but then I think men are just sort of conditioned to like suck it up all the time. Yeah. So it's like teasing out the notion of like when's a healthy suck it up and when's
I do think parenting is about accepting heartbreak. And not in, and it can be in the big moments of, you lose a child or, the kid has a serious illness, but there are daily heartbreaks. And I think what you just talked about, because I've experienced that too, which is, I feel like I'm there, I'm available, and my son doesn't want me. He prefers to go talk with mom. And it's like, it's just that rejection. It's just that, that heartbreak. And I think each day, if we really think about it, there are these micro heartbreaks as a parent, as a dad.
I feel like moms get it later. Moms get it in like 7th grade. Rejection. Dads are front loaded with rejection.
Yeah, it all happens at
Mamas
their
get
own
it.
times for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
But I think it's just being compassionate to oneself in those micro heartbreak moments of, I'm here, I'm available. He wants mom at this moment in time, but
I'm enough.
how great is it that it actually hurts me because I want to be with him and I want to be the best dad, the best version of myself to him. So again, I think it's just great hearing that story, to be sitting across from somebody who takes his role as a dad super seriously, that you have these micro moments of heartbreak. So good for you.
I wanted to ask one follow-on question. When you said there aren't resources for dad, do you have a notion of like a resource that you wish there were?
I think just stuff like this is helpful. And then I think coming and like moving to Santa Cruz, hearing about there's like a bunch of dad groups that happen, and it's...
Are there?
I know.
I mean, we have a dad's circle, but I haven't heard of many others.
I think it's unofficial, but we met a bunch of people at the park, and they're all hanging out like, oh, like, how'd you guys all meet? And they're like,
Awesome.
we all did like a birthing class together, and then like the dads kind of all meet.
It's the
and
dad's
just
half
kind
of the birthing class?
talk,
Oh, that's amazing.
Like they all went as couples, and then I think they all hang out, but then I think the dads try to just make a point to be there and to talk about things and to hang out. And
That's really cool. My experience of the birthing class from ours and seeing some other friends is like the moms. Sometimes the moms hang tight.
Yeah.
Ours just kind of dissolved entirely. But anyway, in my head, I'm like, oh, it's that the birthing class is really sort of the mama's circle.
Yeah,
But
and
I love that.
we relate to that one. So like we met them after they kind of formed their group, and
right.
Fortunately, not just through like dad resource things, we have other people to talk to. But I think just to make it more normal for, and I know in a lot of families, if the dad's working all the time, different dynamics, it's harder to, but I always find myself the only or one of two dads that, is at story time at the library, or we'll go to the like family circle, I think it's in Aptos for like toddler time or like different things. And it's uncommon enough to where everyone's like, oh, a dad's here. Like, oh, what? Is that a dad? Like, oh, like what?
That is funny and tragic at the same time.
Yeah. Or like, well, we've taken him to, there's like it's called Mother Song. And, and like, I know Joya, she recognizes me because she said it before, like, oh, I know you because you're like one of the few dads that shows up, so.
At Mother Song.
Yeah. And so like, I think just to make it more common and okay for dads to just be a parent and to be more involved in the stuff that doesn't or wasn't normally like a dad thing to do.
Yeah.
And because it's all fun, like it's great. I'm having a great time when he's, being a fun kid. Like it's awesome. So like, why wouldn't you want to do these things?
I love that. Yeah. In hindsight, I wish I had done more. It is crazy to me that in 2025, things are still so gender separated and gender rolled in parenting. The end. No soapbox. That's just wild.
So as we wrap up, is there anything that we didn't cover that is important for you to speak about and acknowledge about your dadding?
I think, like I said earlier, my biggest take home would be that it's hard, and it's normal that it's hard, and it's okay if you struggle. And I think the more you talk about it with other dads and moms and parents, the more that you can kind of all relate and know that, oh, like this is what parenthood is about, and you're not alone. And that, yeah, sometimes it sucks, but it's okay if it sucks.
Well, let me say it out loud, Max. You are an extraordinary dad, And we very much appreciate your willingness to come on and chat with us. And,
Yeah, thanks for
share
having
your
me.
wisdom.
Thanks so much for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really, this was really nice.
Extraordinary Dads!
Yeah, what a fun interview. As always,
Yeah.
these darn extraordinary dads.
Yeah. And he was another good one. What jumped out at you for that particular episode?
Yeah, it was actually a practical nugget that, halfway through the episode, he talked about, hey, just let them be kids. And I don't know if our listeners are going to hear that our own kids were like noisily banging around and talking around the house as we were recording this, and it was driving me a little insane. And right in the middle, Max is like, hey, you can let kids be kids.
Yeah.
And literally in the middle of a recording, I'm like, you know what? We've got kids, and they're kids, and they bang around the house. So yeah, in that spirit of, for me, the best advice is often just the advice I'm taking right now. It was great to just get a little dose of advice in the middle of my own podcast.
Yeah.
How about you, Donald?
Yeah, I think one of the things that jumped out at me is that if you've listened to any of the episodes beyond this one, you'll know that we get into asking dads about their relationship with their dads. And I was very, very taken by Max's remembering of his dad and his dad making a conscious decision to sacrifice for Max, giving up golf so that Max could do travel ball. Parenting is a lot of sacrifice, but it was just great to get to hear that particular story and to bring it all.
A very deliberate, here is my sacrifice to you, for you.
Yeah, so.
All right, that wraps it up.
Yeah.
See you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Dad!